the tensions are so great between Padre Serra and the military governor of California that he decides he's going to make the journey to Mexico City to talk to the viceroy. The viceroy would be sort of the chief officer of the whole North America for the Spanish crown. So if he goes to him, it's the highest authority, even above the military governor. At the present time, when he comes to Mexico City, he's, in a sense, greeted by a welcome from the viceroy. The name of the viceroy's name was Don Antonio Maria Bucareli y Ursa, and he was a member of the Knights of Malta. In those days, it was not just an honorary kind of ceremony to be a Knight of Malta. He actually belonged to the religious order that was the Knights of Malta. He had taken vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. We call him a brother today, and yet he had the high authority of the king, and he was a very, very honest man, very perceptive, and he understood very clearly the religious motivation of Padre Junipero Serra and the Franciscans. So, I mean, they had a very welcome, you might say, reception to their concerns that Padre Serra would represent to him about what was going on out in California. And so they have a good discussion of what's going on, and thankfully, the Fray Antonio, who is the viceroy, and Padre Serra come to an agreement. And they set it out in a legal form. We call a memorandum of understanding. We call them today the same thing. And this is sent to the Council of Mexico, and then it goes to Madrid, and Madrid gets the stamp of the king. The king sends it back. It's all legal. It's the law of the land then. And so he gets it back, takes it with him back to California. Interestingly enough, the governor of California, in light of all this, is military governor is removed, another one is sent, and the new regulations are put in place. And those new regulations make clear that the friars have control over all natives who are either preparing for baptism or are baptized. They are under the friars' authority. The soldiers have nothing to do with them. And only possible interference would be a capital case, murder. They would then be able to intervene and deal with the native. Otherwise, the friars were in charge. The friars also had the power to remove soldiers by making application to say, this soldier should be removed. His conduct is inappropriate, whether it's sexual misconduct or maybe some other form of dishonesty or abuse, whatever it may be. The friars had that right to have the removal of the soldiers. And finally, indicating Padre Serra's sensitivity just to the question about these poor soldiers, is that he realized they were separated from their families. And he asked for some provisions that they could return home for some recreation with their families, so they could reconnect to their wives and their families wherever they might be. So in some ways, the Memorandum of Understanding set a good tone for at least the remaining years of Padre Serra's life as he continued to work on the expansion of his missions. He would expand to San Juan Capistrano, where there is an adobe church, which is the oldest building in California today. He then went on to the Mission Dolores in San Francisco area. Santa Clara was another mission. Actually, it was one of the most best in terms of abundance in grains and fruits. And it was the largest, interestingly enough, in population of natives. Now, it's very interesting to hear the numbers. We're talking about 2,220 people. That's the size. That's the largest of the missions of California under Junipero Serra. And finally, St. Bonaventure. These 9 missions that he founded would be his legacy up until about 1821, when we'll discuss a little bit later about what happens after he dies in 1784. A lot of things start to happen. But up until then, we have the 9 missions, and then there's a few more that are founded that make the whole circuit a total of 21 of missions that are there. Serra used to teach, loved to teach the natives, and there was one little custom that spread very wide and far among the missions, was a greeting he introduced to the natives. And that greeting was Amar a Dios. Amar a Dios. Love God. And it was interesting. The natives started to pick that up, so much so that when they met Spaniards on the way, or the soldiers, they would go, Amar a Dios. God, love God, love God. A beautiful expression, a beautiful way of permeating their culture with something that would resonate with the spirituality that the Franciscans wanted them to have in their daily lives.